Good morning, good afternoon, or good night for everybody, depending where you are. So today, as Kenny mentions, I want to share some knowledge I have about how to use ReactJS and how to integrate with Drupal 8, especially and Symfony, and to learn about a little more about these tools used to try to use these Node.js applications. So first, I want to share a couple repos that you could use after this video. So everything is in Symfony, so and is tested, I guess, with the latest version of Symfony and Drupal 8. We will see if it works today. So the first one I want to use is in my GitHub user is in Eng Solution, and the project is Drupal 8 React Form. So you could get the URL github.com/nsolution/Drupal dash 8 dash React.js form. So the idea or React. First, let me introduce a little bit about React. So React.js, if you try to Google, is a library, as many of you maybe know, some others maybe don't know. It's a library created by Facebook. It's not a framework because this is only intent to manage the UI. The idea is you could implement whatever you want to use to manage the routing, for instance, and the data to try to fetch information to try to display in component. So the idea is React is using the latest version of JavaScript, which is ES6. But basically, honestly, I don't know the term EX6. It's just the latest version of JavaScript. But obviously, this version of JavaScript allow you more information, more powerful in terms about what is possible to do in JavaScript because now it is object oriented. So the idea is but use is the same in the browser. You could use including a direct library in similar when you did when you use jQuery, or you could use the ES6 version using Node.js. So first, I am going to sorry to a project I have in Drupal. This is a Drupal 8 version. If you see here, for instance, this is a standard Drupal 8 installation in terms using Composer. So what I am going to do right
Okay,
now,
Enzo,
yes.
are you sharing your screen right now?
Oh,
Okay, because we are not seeing it.
okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, my fault.
There you go.
Yeah, so I will give you
Yep.
again my my repo is github.com/nsolutions/Drupal dash 8 dash React JS dash form. This is a Drupal 8 model, and the objective of this model is to try to create a simple React JS form inside uh, inside a Drupal 8 controller. Where you find information about React is in facebook.github.io/React. As I say, it's a JavaScript library for user interface. And right here, this is a Drupal 8 installation using Drupal Composer. And what I am going to do is going to the web folder. And of course, we have a module and custom folder for my custom models. And I am going to clone this repo in that folder. I will say git clone Drupal React. Okay, so let me go down now. So that's me now. I have a module Drupal 8 form. Okay, I'm going to see. And if we inspect this content, it's very simple. As any Drupal 8 module, we have a routing. we have a model. This is new for maybe some of them. Some of you is the libraries. Obviously, this is the info about the model, and I have a JavaScript and CSS project to try to include in my composer. So let's first to read the instruction. So the first thing you need to do if you don't have Drupal is using Drupal Composer to install this model, and obviously then using Drupal console you could install. So first we need to download the JavaScript installation. So in these examples, I am using React directly from from a distribution website to get the JavaScript minimized and compiled. So I need to go, in my case, into my Drupal site to guarantee the libraries are available to be included in my models. So I need to go to here. Okay, in this case, I am going to create a folder. It was a height to create my libraries. So I am going to move on to this folder, and I am going to get the libraries. In this case, I am going to get the minimized version and the expand version. But I am going to use first, or maybe only, the minimized version. As you notice, this is the latest version, 15. Right now, I guess we are in 15.5.5.10 or something like that. The next version, 16, Facebook announced like 45 days ago that will be a totally redo about the React, but in theory, they will be maintain bad compatibility. Sorry. Uh, but including some minor changes that you need to do in the code, and they already show these changes as a warning right now in order you try to migrate to the new logic. Okay, so let me check again. So we have 4 JavaScript files, and now we need to go to install the model. Let me go to again. Let me change the name of the folder just to avoid any problem. I'm going to change this to my search. Okay. Okay, this is what I do. Now I am going to say Drupal. I'm going to copy. I am going to use Drupal console to install my model. Oops. I guess I have. Sorry, this is. Let me try this version. This is our website. I am going to use the UI to. It's because I have the latest version of Drupal, but I didn't update this website. So I am going to go to Stent. Okay, now I must to have, I have a question, I guess. Nope. Okay. Stent. I don't remember what name I put in this. This is. What is the name of the model? 1 second. Let me. Something is notifying me, but I didn't see the question. Okay. Let me check the repo again. This is the info module. Has to be my search. structure. Okay. I guess the other was in production. This is my local stand. Okay, let me search again. Okay, this is my search. And I'm going to enable this model. Okay, everything works good. And now let me check about the content of this model. So the idea is, let me search in detail. So I have this model and I have a routine. So the routine say if I go to my search, I will get something that is rendered by a ReactJS form controller form, which is a form in Drupal. So I am going to go to my search. And now you see this maybe ugly form, but this is not a form API built in Drupal 8. This is a JavaScript form created in ReactJS. Okay. So if let me try to find here inside search. This is the search of Drupal. This is toolbar. Okay, here. So if you see, let me try to increase the size of the font of the of the form. So if you notice here, this is already some information. No, this is the placeholder for search. This is the layout. This is the okay. Where we get here? This is the plot. This is the system. This is you see. This is a data hyphen React root. It's because this is an element created using React. I have a problem here with this overlay with the logo. Let me try to remove this. I'm going to delete. Okay, and now I have another overlay here. But this is the form. So now let me show you how I build this. So the idea of this is if I go to my routine when I went to the road and I see this is controlled as this form. This is a typical, sorry, this is a typical controller in Drupal 8 where you have to strengthen the control base in Drupal 8. Nothing is special, but in the function form for this form, instead of to use the Drupal 8 API, I use the markup in Drupal 8 to try just to create a div. Okay, in this div, I say, okay, I am going to attach some JavaScript files. In this case, I am going to include the React, which is the library, and this is the React Dune, which is a library to manage the Dune HTML in your page, and I am going to include the React form. So obviously, this is the basic distribution of React, and this is my form. So immediately when this controller is rendered, I will get this div, I will get the libraries included, and my code will be noticed about this content and is used to attach the React form inside. Okay, so to allow this magic happen, because no, let me show you more in detail. To allow this magic happen, okay, let me open another tab with this. So I am including my search React min, but this is not exactly where the libraries live. For this reason, in my code, I have to have a name of model that library is that Jamal, and then I am going to say, okay, I could put any name I want. In this case, I say React min, and React min is like a sync link to the specific file inside my Drupal libraries, right? And also I could include, if you see the latest example, so when I include React that form here, that not only means a JavaScript file. In this case, that means two files. So I am including immediately JavaScript. In my case, is JavaScript my search form, but also I am including a CS file. So this is especially useful when you want to deliver a package of files to try to guarantee in one single line that everything you need is available to be used. Okay. So now when this including is guaranteed by the library's files, now that means we could start to review the part of React. Okay. So the React files obviously are in JavaScript folder, and this is my form. So this is a simple and ugly form in Drupal in React, as you see here. It's nothing special. It's just an input folder with an action. Okay, and I did this in purpose. So if you see this code, and this is the problem with React, in my personal opinion. When you try to find a tutorial, you always find this kind of stuff. What is this? This is writing React using pure JavaScript, not the latest version of JavaScript, not using ES6, not using ES5. This is using JavaScript 4 point something, which is what we call pure JavaScript, like the old version of JavaScript. So that means you need to use something like a create a class to try to create something, and then you need to create element. But if you notice this is very similar, like when you use pure JavaScript and they say we need to use a function in JavaScript to find a done element ID, and then we could reference that user with that JavaScript. So this logic is before jQuery, and this is exactly why we love jQuery in the past, because we don't need to use this ugly function, and this is really similar to that ugly function that JavaScript replaced. So many people say, but this is feels like a step back to before to JavaScript, because looks like you need to do everything by yourself. Like you need to find the element, then you need to provide the ID, and then they provide the options, and everything looks like ugly and a not fancy way if that maybe is your idea to try to use a innovative library that you think you will get if you are using React, right? But everything looks ugly, but the result is the result. So right, is what you get. You get two forms, two sorry, two fields. One is an input, one is an input, and the other is a select with the option, and then you have a submit button. Nothing special, right? But again, I made this in purpose. I just want to show you how to use Drupal libraries, controller, and React to try to do some stuff. So now I want to go more advanced about what you could do. And now I am going to use Symfony to do that. I don't know if you have questions, but I don't see here in my question and answers. But I get some notification. I don't know where.
Exactly. No, I have my eyes on the YouTube channel, so there are no questions. I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I'll try to do something more advanced. So first, this is the second repository is in nsolution/symphony -react -demo. I hope this is gonna work. So this is a basic example. So I am going to my download folder. I am going to say git clone Symfony React demo. This is exactly you need to do. It's not like I have a prepared demo, like everything is going to work. So I am getting the same risk maybe you're going to take at home to try to do by yourself. So if something fails, I hope no. Uh, we will get a Symfony application integrated with React. So okay, this is a Symfony application. I create this just using the Symfony console line to create an empty project, and I just include some changes to try to include my React. So first thing, I need to install the dependencies. In my case, so let me show you my composer JSON, because this is a Symfony application. Obviously, you could use also composer files in Drupal, but this is entirely Symfony application. So this is a Symfony sample, as I say, nothing special. So, but maybe the things I want to point out is this library, like Mio's React bundle. So this is created by an Spanish guy living in Finland, I guess. So what he did is in Twig, he extend and create his own elements to try to render a JavaScript element, in this case React, inside Twig to try to facilitate the process of development. So you could review this repo um, later. In the project, they implement in a very specific way, but I did some tweaks to try to, in my opinion, to have an example, because in their example the routing is controlled by a React component, but in my case I want to continue using the Symfony controlling and only use React to present in UI. Okay, so I need to provide what I need to provide their host. I don't know. I don't remember. I have to use UI. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Next. Dun, dun, dun. This is my Symfony application. Okay, now the second is I need to run npm install. So this is when Node.js start to get shape in this project. So first, you need in your system install the latest version of Node.js. So they have 6.10 version, and this is like the edge of the development, 7.10. In my opinion, I think with this version 6.10, you will be totally fine. But this is obviously if you want to try the latest changes and the new features, maybe that you're interested in including your project. But if not, you will be totally safe with this. So the same as maybe in Ubuntu, you have uh, apt-get stuff to install packages. In Node.js, we have npm, is Node Package Manager, and in Symfony we have our composer file, which is I show you here. In Node.js, we have a package JSON, and the objective of both are if the same. So you need to provide some information about your project. You could include some process that you want to execute under specific circumstances, and then you need to define the dependencies. So in my case, in this example, similar what I do in Drupal 8, I include in React Dune, and I am including some extra packages. In this case, I am going to use ND. I will show you later. And I include some transpiler. Babel is a software. It's a piece of software used to do this objective. So the idea is now I am going to show you how to use React, but using the proper way, using ES6 that allow you to create OOP code. But this kind of coding is not available to run in the latest browsers, not in all of them. So you need a way to transform this in standard JavaScript code. So Babel do that for you, and then we need to include a specific presets to translate React into that. For this reason, we need to run npm install. So this command is going to read the package JSON file and fetch all the libraries I include here and any dependency you could find in the process. So you don't need to be worried about it. Maybe if you include a dependency and in their development, the later version include another library, everything will be fetched for you. Okay. So now let me try to show you what is the difference. So the idea here is I have this React demo bundle and I have my controller, and this is my default controller. So in my React controller, what I am doing is simple, is I am just rendering a twig file, nothing special. Maybe the only React function is this React demo bundle, right? And I am using a routine, my React form. Okay? So let's find the resource related with the with the twig. So in my twig, I have inside my routine, I have an index twig. So I have a simple, I use the base HTML, which is a resource I have in this project, and then I create a box for registration, and I include a JavaScript file. So this JavaScript file, including my assets, a JavaScript file form register JavaScript. Okay, let me check if the progress. Okay, now all these node package were installed. Now let's go back to the instruction, and then they say I need to run that instruction. Okay, so what instruction do? No, this is the Drupal. So this is the controller, and let me show you again the package JSON. And with dev, I am running another Node.js tool, which is Webpack. And this instruction use another configuration file, is Webpack config. And basically what they do is I configure to detect some specific JavaScript files written in ES6 and transpile in a way that the browser could understand this. So if I go to my web folder, we have an asset, we have builds, uh, and inside I have a form register, the file I just transpile, and this is a really long and ugly file that transfer all the instruction that I'm going to show you into this pure JavaScript. So this is almost it's readable for human, but it's really hard to try to follow what it's going to do. So because the intention is just for browsers, it's not for you. So let me go back to the instructions, and now I am going to use Symfony server, the console server start to start. No, sorry, I'm not in the proper folder. Okay, now again. So in theory, now I have a local server in this address. Okay, this is my server. This is a Symfony application. And now, if I go to my routine, the routine I create in my bundle, I am going to my React form. Oops, something goes wrong. This is the problem. Unexpected JSON. This is the version 16. This is the warning I mentioned you before. Well, maybe this will be hard to try to fix here because this is an incompatibility version with React Rails. This is the problem with live demo. Okay, so don't worry. I am going to do a next week another session, and I will explain in detail. But I want to show you what is difference between this code and the code I show you in Drupal. So the idea is I have this routine and I have this resource. Okay, this is the services, and I have the controller. Okay, let me show you the web package config. So the idea is I have couple files inside the application client. Okay, and these packages are compiled. So I have my application, I have the client, and in the client version I have two files. Let me show you first the form. The form register here is totally different that I show in Drupal 8. So you need to import libraries from React, and I am going to use an Andy form. And the form I am going to show you, I am going to show in live in another site. This is the form items I am going to use. I declare some variables I am going to use. In this case, are some Chinese province. I create a form and I create some functions to manage the form. But at the end, when I want to render a form, I don't need to use HTML anymore. So I don't need to create a form. This is a object called form that I could send parameters and then React will be rendered as that. It's the same for inputs. Inputs could be empty, or inputs could be some parameters to say this is a password and everything. But remember, this is not a HTML. This is our React components. So this is all objects that you could create. And the idea of add objects is like you could import them and use whatever you want. Okay. So I am going to fix this repo later, but I am going to show you what is the output. The output is I just copy an example of this verse. This is undesign. So maybe some of you are familiar with Angular. In Angular, they have material design. But being honest, material design is, in my opinion, is ugly. So this library what do and then this is created by a Chinese company, Alibaba. So they create these components that you could use and abuse if you want to try to create fancy elements with many logic inside. So the four I want to show you is this. So you remember in the code I have this option here. This is the province, Shenzhen and Jiangsu. Is this is these options are used to create a fancy drop-down select that you could use to select the options, right? And they include also some extra information like if I type some information, they say, okay, you could include custom validation for this, but if here immediately you get some validation about React, and you could include extra elements for information, or even you could create some validation for email. If not, but the idea is to try to use React is like some people don't want to create some headless Drupal because obviously you are going to lose a lot of things about the good things you have in Drupal or in Symfony. So you want to have an intermediate position. So in this case, it's like you want to go to have a nice UI to try to create interaction with the users, but you don't want to redo everything. Like if you are going to use Angular or something, you need to create by yourself everything, validations, some confirmation and everything. So the idea with these companies is you don't need to be worried about that. You only need to be worried about how to get the information and how to uh, how to process the information, right? But the theory is simple about how to use the component. So and you have uh, many special components like if you want to do by yourself will be a really a nightmare. Like in this case, some types of uh, uh, progress bar and how I get in this library is because I was trying to do a ranch component. They call here how to complete cascader. They picker, measure, select, slider. I was trying to use an element in Vue, in Angular, in everything, but I didn't find a component that works at glance. So I founded this and then I implemented and voila, works as expected without any problem. So you could concatenate. So what I love with this is like in Angular or Vue and others is like you could find a lot of components, but they are separate and they look different. In this case, you could have a more integrate a more integrate components inside your site, so you could have your site complete. So I am past by 6 minutes, and I guess I remember what is the problem I have in my project. In my project is the problem I have in my project, if I don't go wrong, is the version of Limius. So I have this, no, this is the package JSON. Let me go to the composer JSON, and then I say I want this version. Let me go confirm which is the latest version of Limius. Okay, Limius they have a release 0.12. I guess this is the problem. Okay, so now I am going to my composer just to try to fix quickly. I am going to say composer require okay, let's just to check. Okay, they don't have any special instruction. No. Okay, so as maybe you know, so I just need to know to say I am going to get the latest version of Limeuse. Ah, okay, I'm going to copy everything. Okay, because now in my project I have 0.9, and they are this is going to get the latest version of this. Okay, better is going to get the master version of React, and I guess that is going to do the magic. What else I could do? Okay, maybe meanwhile I'm going to show the Webpack logic inside. So again, any of this tool require a 1 hour session, but I just going to show you to get the big picture. So this is a Node.js application, and then I include some extra libraries. In this case, I use a library to get global entries to try to be able to include several files in one array. This kind of stuff. So the basic configuration I say is I want to expose globally React inside my DOM. I am going to process all to process using a style loader and then CS loader all files with CS version in my include path. In this case is my dir name, and the dir name is defined by this output, because I am saying I am sorry, no, the entry. The entry is inside this folder app client. All files named register JavaScript will be processed and will be processed with these loaders. So all CS files will be processed and all JavaScript files will be processed using excluding the Node.js modules, and inside that any less files will be processed to try to create one package. So the JavaScript and CSS is included as a bundle and will be transformed using Babel into normal JavaScript. Okay, now just let me say I am going to show Limi, Limius. No, whatever the name, whatever the name, Limeus. Okay, double check. Okay, I have the latest version, and I guess this is going to do the magic. Yeah. Okay. Again, this is version are some warnings. These warnings are for you need to change the order to be prepared for the 16 version. And now this is the form I told you this because I didn't write this. I just implement the logic. You have that. And then you have a fancy form. And in this fancy form is almost all validation are created by you. You don't need to be worried about that. So that means you could go to almost headless inside Symfony or inside Drupal, and then you could use an OOP programming actions as I show you inside the application in the client in the form. So everything is OOP. So the good thing is here, as soon you know how what elements you need to include to try to render something. It's like a if you have a junior in your organization, you could just copy and paste, and the object will have the same behavior. So you don't need to be worried about too much about how to render or if this is proper or not, because this is an object. So if you put the same input, you will get the same output. And it's not HTML. And of course, just to to process, you have to have some React knowledge about that. This is what I am going to explain in this section. But what I am going to do is I am going to update my composer in my repo to guarantee this example now is working with the latest version of Limius. But you could reproduce this process in your computer so easily as I did in this demonstration. So this is all I have for today. So if you have any question, you could contact me in Enzo at winoinc.com or using social networks and solution.
Great. Thank you, Enzo. Just for you guys to know, this session is being recorded. It's
Okay.
going to be live probably this afternoon. Thanks again.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you guys. Bye bye.